Hello and welcome to another edition of Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. I'm your host, Justin Taylor, along with Aaron Tometich. Our boy Toast out tonight, real busy with the track action. So he just got home from practice. He's like, I'm not prepared at all. So he's going to miss tonight. It's going to be a fun show anyway, as me and Aaron break down some bets. We're going to talk about fantasy hockey championships. Congratulations, Aaron. You're in the championship in our home league. And we're just going to break down a little bit of what's going on around the NHL. Stick with us here for Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames. Aaron, thanks for joining me on the show. I know you were missed last week. Things have been a little crazy for all of us here lately, so we're trying to get it together and post now here on Monday nights at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern time. For now, we'll be back on our regular Tuesday nights come next season, but for now, here for the springtime, this is where we're at. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Knuckle puck time, he says. That's right, we're getting into it. We've got two games going on right now. One game is final, but we do have a third game starting here in about 30 minutes. The one late nighter. The only thing about doing the Monday show is about Tuesday show is not quite as many games on Monday night as Tuesday usually. But hey, let's get into our betting segment we like to call Show Him His Money.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
Aaron, what do you got flying tonight? What's some of the things you're on? Let's talk about some of these early bets that have already gone or ones you're in the middle of looking at. And then let's talk about the late night game. Stars cracking at 9 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern, and see if there's anything we like in that game.
Yeah, well, like you said, JT, I mean, normally we're used to those Tuesday, a little spoiled with the Tuesday night schedules where you sprinkle the money around and there's plenty of games to go. With this, you got it. And obviously we've said this time and time again. I'm a little bit more conservative, especially when it comes to the JT parlay, but I'm strictly going. The only game I like just happens to be the late game. So we do have some time. So if anybody's listening to it live, listening to it now, game they haven't dropped the puck yet, but you may want to get this bet in. It was funny because Toast, as he was wrapping up his track, did send us over, the degenerate gambler he is, at least send us his bet.
At least he got the bet in, right? He's like, guys, I can't make the show. I'm on my way home from track practice, but here's the bet in case you want to talk about it on the show. So we love Toast for that. Never forgets about the Toast takes.
No, give the people a winner. That's what he's all about. That's how he made his name. So yeah, the hats off to him. No matter what, he'll push dinner aside. He'll ignore all his family duties. He'll get his bets in. I guarantee you that. But for me tonight, again, it's more quality than quantity. I'm going with a 3-leg parlay again. This is all for the Seattle game. Been watching a lot of Seattle lately. They've been giving up a lot of goals. I mean,
They have.
It's been. I mean, and DeCourt has played well, but he's not playing well now. And I forgot who got shelled the other night, last night, but defense is breaking down. It's that time of year, like you said, the springtime. Our lives are busy. The lives of the teams that are going to the playoffs are busy. And then the lives of the guys that the teams that are staying home, they're trying different line combinations. They're bringing up guys out of the AHL. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of the guys that are done with the NCAA tournament, now they can get them under those.
Which is a wild thing we'll talk about. Is like that's something that's not normal for most pro teams or pro leagues, but it is in hockey. Once your college season done and you've already been drafted, you can go right and start playing immediately for the other team. So we're going to talk about, especially about that a little bit in the betting segment or in the fantasy segment, but it is good to note what teams are doing this for betting purposes. Some of these teams, like you said, it's over. They're done skis. They know it's over. So they're just going to try whatever they can. And so those are the teams you want to avoid. You want to stay away from them or you want to bet against them. Like
Right.
just know what teams are in that spot. And also this is the time of year, me and Toast talked about it, but a little bit last week. You also got to know where some of these teams have already made the playoffs are at.
Yeah.
So if
Yes.
they're already in, you got to see, are they still fighting for position as far as, where they're going to rank and who they're going to play in the playoffs? Or are they locked? Because these teams that start getting locked are going to start resting guys. And you're going to see some weird upsets. I talk about this ever so often just to kind of belabor the point. A couple years ago, there was a Sunday afternoon Red Wings Toronto Maple Leafs game where the Red Wings were out of the playoffs, over and done with. The Leafs were in, had been playing great. I go and look right before the game, and I see that Toronto's sitting their two starting goalies, their starting goalie and their backup. Both have got a little big nagging injuries. They want to rest them. They pull up a guy from the minor leagues that had not won an NHL game in like 10 years. And I'm like, oh, I'm on the Red Wings. And it was a monster spread, too. It was like minus 350 Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this might be a pretty spot to jump on the Red Wings. They're not playing for much, but they have a lot of young guys who are trying to earn some time. And we've got a really old backup goalie who hasn't played in the NHL. Like he hadn't won a game in like 10 years, and he hadn't played in the NHL in like 3 or 4 years. I was like, oh, I'm all over the Red Wings at like plus 275. Roll them. They roll them. They win in like 4-1. And I'm like, yeah, like all this. So, but those are the things you got to look for.
Yeah.
Like teams will just outright. It was the end of a long week. Toronto was already in the playoffs. There wasn't a lot to seeding. They had played a bunch of games that week, and they were just like, we're resting a bunch of guys. It's a Sunday afternoon game on the road. They were just like, whatever. And then the Red Wings were playing their normal lineup because they were out of it, and they were a young team trying to get experience. So those are the things you got to watch out for, too. So not only the teams that have already missed the playoffs and are like, trying a million different things, but you got to watch out for the teams that are super big favorites, even though they shouldn't be, because they're sick people, because it's one of those things where they're arresting guys or they're playing like a back-to-back on a Saturday, Sunday, and they're like, we got till Tuesday off. So like, hey, we're going to sit guys on Sunday, so Monday off and be healthy and ready to go Tuesday. So those are the things late in the season. Tell me if you agree with me here. I am all for limited bets at the end of the year. Find the good ones, bet those. Don't get crazy. Even though I'm the crazy guy likes the JT parlay, but take a bunch of stuff. I don't like to take a bunch of stuff this late in the season. There's just too many factors out there. I want to feel comfortable about 1 or 2 games and take those.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Again, it's quality over quantity. Be selective with your picks. Maybe put a little bit more on it than you would. Again, it's fun to have 2-3 parlays going or some, anytime score guys. But those guys that are hammering the puck, and unless you're Ovi and you're chasing the goal record, you aren't going to see those guys that are well, you probably see Leo get his 50th. I'm sure he's aiming for that. I think they play again tomorrow, but. Yeah, and like you said, JT, they either they rest them outright or they give them just enough time on ice so they're not, because, and you can say this in any sport, you don't want to get too far away from the game. You don't want to lose your intensity, but these guys that are getting 16, 17, these forwards specifically that are getting 16, 17 minutes a game, maybe they're down, they're taking an extra shift off. They're down to about 10 minutes a game. They're still getting their NHL time, but they're not on the ice as much as they normally are.
Getting that fourth line in there, one more shift. Get that third line in there, one more shift. Just, giving those guys just a little extra break so the legs stay fresh for the playoffs.
And that's exactly what you want to do. Then you're upping the minutes of the guys that didn't get the minutes. So to your point, the third and fourth liners get a few more minutes because, I mean, how many round one games do we see year after year after year that go to forget first OT, but some of these go to a second or a third overtime. That means everybody's got to skate. Everybody's getting 25, 26 minutes on ice from line 1 down to line 4. And even more the reason why I like tonight's bet with Dallas. Dallas is, I'll say on paper, they're the you look at them top to bottom, I think they have the most depth out of any team, East or West, going into the playoffs. So maybe our line 1 guys aren't going to, maybe they J-Rob or Hintz or whatever, maybe they miss a shift or two, which is fine. They're super hot too, because they're on a great pace as it is, but maybe they skip a shift or two. Well, your third and fourth line guys can score like everybody else, second line guys. So for tonight, I do have J-Rob and Hintz with a point each. So that's the first 2 legs. And then the third leg, I'm taking the puck line on Dallas at -1.5. You combine those 3, you're getting a plus 238. So again, it's not going to, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm not going to retire off this bet, but it's at least given me something a little bit solid the way that Seattle's been playing. They're testing out those line combos. They're just kind of, even in the it was funny, I was watching the Seattle feed in I think it was last night, or it might have been the night before, watching that late night Seattle game. They're talking about, it's Eddie Olczyk, so of course he's longtime Blackhawks, so I always tune in just to hear him again, because he and the Hawks didn't agree to terms, but they were just talking. He'll start talking about betting horses. He'll start anything but the game on the ice. That's how bad Seattle's playing. So that's why I doubled down on.
We always have to talk about football and hockey, or baseball and hockey. Whenever the game gets out of control, you always have to have something else to talk about, because sometimes they get just a little out of hand. So you've got that. So you've got Robertson and Hintz each with a point, and you've got the puck line at -1.5. That gives you what, plus 238, you said?
That's right.
Okay,
nice,
I looked it up.
Bet.
I looked it up. If you want to take the same bet, but you want to take Stars money line just to win it, so the puck line -1.5 is -180 right now. That's plus 142. So you're getting about 100 less on that. So that's a safe one too. If you're like, hey, let's just, put in a nice plus 142 bet. I like that one too. Like you said, just kind of safe in there. Kraken have been giving up a lot of goals. You figure the only thing is if the Stars get up early, maybe they, things slow down in this game and everybody starts getting defensive. So I do like that bet. I'm going to roll with you on that. Actually, I just put that one in there. So we've got that one per DraftKings right now. So that's a nice one. I'm going to throw a few bucks on that one. I like where your head's at there. The other games go tonight, like we said, not betting on them tonight per se. But you know what? Let's just jump into it. We'll talk more betting as the show goes on, but let's just jump in to Around the Ice.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
So only 4 games tonight. We just talked about the Stars cracking the late game, got our bet in on there. 2 games have gone final. The Flyers 2-1 in the early game over the Nashville Predators. The Devils just went final, a 3-2 overtime win at home against the Minnesota Wild. The other game currently in action just started the second period. Colorado right now up 1-0 over Calgary in that one. The Devils, we talked about them a little bit last week, me and Toast. Ton of injuries on this team. Do they have enough? Like, here's the thing is, they got enough to make the playoffs. They're in the hunt right now. Right now, unless they absolutely melt down, they're in the playoffs. Right now, they're sitting at 3rd in the Metro with 85 points. Pretty much locked there. They're not going to catch Carolina in front of them with 94. But right behind them is Ottawa with 84 at the first wild card spot. And then Montreal with 77. And the Rangers with 77 points. So unless you just had an absolute utter meltdown by New Jersey, which I don't think is going to happen, big win tonight to kind of take a little pressure off their end. But is there any way this team with the injuries, can they even compete in the playoffs? Or is this a team like, we made it, we got here, we couldn't help that everybody's hurt, we're one and done?
Yeah. I do think they get in. I again watching the Rangers are on the into that West Coast sweep, so they played awful against. Let's see, I think they beat the Sharks, and I might have this backwards. They they did beat the Sharks, but they lost to Anaheim. And Anaheim put like 6 on them. I mean, it was close. I think it was close. They didn't win it till the last period, but they looked terrible in that game. The reason why I start with that when we're talking about the Devils is I just don't. The Rangers are as hurt as New Jersey is. The Rangers are just that inconsistent with their play. Their defense doesn't show up for games at a time. Shesterkin has to do everything on his own. The forwards are okay. Panarin had a great playoffs last time he was in, but up to that point, he's never been good in the playoffs. So all that to say, I don't think if there's any of these teams that can catch them, I mean, as much as we all want, I don't see Columbus catching. Like the worst case scenario for the Devils, I think, is that last spot. I don't think they can fall that far. Let's see, they have 5, 6, 7 games left.
They're up 8 points on the Rangers right now. They've got 7 games left. Rangers have 8, it looks like. So, I mean, you'd have to have a really big meltdown to lose an 8-point lead at the end.
If they go 1-7 or 0-8, then that's that epic fail. That's that what's his name choking in the Masters, McElroy choking in the Masters type of job. So I don't see that happening. I think they've got enough in them. But to your original point, they're going to get smoked. I don't know how the playoffs right now. I don't have it in front of me who they would play in the first round. It doesn't matter. They're going to lose in 5 games or less. So it's just, and it sucks. The Devils have committed to this overhaul. They got hit by the injury bug at the beginning of last year. They get hit by the injury bug at the end of the year this year. It's like these guys just can't win. I mean, I got no skin in the game. I couldn't care. I do like the Hughes brothers. I like, the Luke and Jack playing together.
They're a fun team. I got Hersher. I got Brad. I got a bunch of guys on my fantasy team. So, I mean, as far as that, I like to see those guys. But, I tell you what, I mean, they're going to make like you said, unless there's just an absolute utter meltdown, they're making the playoffs. So they're in, but it just doesn't look like they're going to do much from there. Pretty much at this point, Ottawa's the same way. Ottawa, 84 points right now. Clearly in that first wild card spot for the playoffs, they look like they're pretty set. Right now, Montreal and the Rangers, 77 points each. I tell you what, the big disappointment for me right now, obviously my Wings, 74 points, but the Blue Jackets, 75. I know the Blue Jackets probably can't go very far, and people are probably going to get mad at me because people want to see the big-time teams like the Rangers in the playoffs. I would love to see the Blue Jackets just get in. I would love to see them get in, Them, even Montreal, even though we know Montreal in the history of hockey is a big dog, they haven't been very good lately, and they're a really young team, so it'd be interesting to kind of see what they could do as a Sprite young team in the playoffs. I have zero confidence the Wings are going to make a run here. I know they're only 3 points out, but gosh, they've been playing terrible. Everything about this just says they're not going to make it. Columbus, I thought they were on a little bit of a tear. I thought it's like, oh, this team's getting hot, and then they kind of cooled off. The Rangers feel like they've been a disaster all year, but they're still in the mix. What do you think if you had to put some money, and we're not going to put money on it right now, who do you think makes that last wild card spot in the East? Is it the Canadiens, the Rangers, the Blue Jackets, the Red Wings, or the Islanders? Right now, only 3 points separates all those teams.
Well, I tell you I'm going to tell you what my heart says. My heart wants the Blue Jackets in for that last spot, but my head tells me it's gonna go as it is, where it stands right now with the Habs taking that last spot. What'll probably happen, because my head and my heart aren't in alignment, and I would hate this the most, is the Islanders are going to snake that last spot somehow, some way. They're just going to snake it, and then they're going to be boring, and they're going to get whatever. But no, I honestly do think the Habs are going to be there. I've seen they played a game it was a couple weeks ago in Edmonton. Now they have not looked good. Well, they've again a little bit of the injury bug. Stuart Skinner's hurt, but who cares? He sucks anyway. But they had a playoff type atmosphere back and forth game. Now it was higher scoring than you see in the playoffs, but I've seen the Habs really show up and play some of these top teams at a high level, and then I've seen them, get shit kicked by a lower team. But when the game's on the line and it is talent, they stay with the talented teams. Everybody has a night off or a day off, or maybe take a little something off. But I think that they're gonna pull through. They're gonna probably hover around 500, which as long as the other teams that we just mentioned, the Rangers, too inconsistent. Columbus Blue Jackets, I think they're just out of gas. Their goaltending's terrible anyway. Elvis isn't going to do anything in the playoffs. And then you're like you said, your wings. They just never had the goalie. They have the defense. They have the forwards. Dylan Larkin's looked better, but too little, too late. Wings. You guys could have maybe showed up a little bit more in January. You wouldn't be in this because it was yours for the taking at that time. They could have easily been the team that Ottawa has been, where they've stepped up, they've played, they made some great deadline moves. Dylan Cousins comes over. He fits right into with those guys. So it was there for the taking for the Wings. They just
let it go by, and then now they've just got a tough schedule down the stretch. Their only chance is that all these teams down the stretch are already in the playoffs and just let them win.
Yeah,
because you're looking at the rest of this month, starting on Tuesday. They're at St. Louis, who's in the playoff hunt. Carolina, playoffs. Florida, playoffs. Montreal, in the playoff hunt. Florida, playoffs. Tampa Bay, playoffs. Dallas, playoffs. New Jersey, playoffs. Toronto, playoffs.
What a gauntlet. That's horrible. I didn't know it was that bad.
That's their gauntlet to end it. That's why I told you that I just think even as a Wings fan, and I'm usually trying to be somewhat optimistic when I can. I tend to be super pessimistic, but I try to be optimistic when I can. I was like, there's no way. I was like, they're not making this run. They're just not going to get it done. Just a brutal stretch for them as we head down that stretch. On the other side in the West, I think we're pretty much locked in here.
Yeah.
I mean, you got right now, you got Minnesota could have helped themselves even more with the win tonight. They go down in OT, so they get the OT loss point. 87 for them, 87 for the Blues. Behind them, Vancouver, yuck. Vancouver, 81 points and 80 for Calgary. Calgary's been kind of a nice story this year. They've just, like you said earlier, one of those teams that just ran out of gas. They just didn't have enough down the stretch, even though they've been, kind of a, they've been a fun team. They've stuck around. They've made something interesting. Vancouver's been, I don't know what you would say. I think highly disappointing this year because it feels like that's what Vancouver is every year right now. They're at 81, so they're technically not out of it. Only 6 points back, but the Blues are on a run like no other. 9 straight wins from the Blues to come out of nowhere. They're now set to take over the top wild card spot from the Wild. So they're right in the mix. I just would be surprised. I'd be absolutely shocked and amazed if Calgary or Vancouver could do enough to catch St. Louis and Minnesota right now. I feel like the West is locked up, don't you?
100% agree. And it pains me to see the Blues do this. It's too similar to the 2019 year when they won the Cup, and they're doing it banged up too. I don't think I don't think he came back, but Parayko, who's having a career season this year, I think he's still injured. I don't know. I haven't most of the Blues games I have access to, but more than anything, I just don't want to watch him because I hate him so much. But I think I need to start.
He's still out at the moment. He's still.
He is out. Okay.
His as far as I'm finding, and this might be me. This is a quick search, so if I'm wrong, someone can tell me. I've got him March 5th as his last game played. So so he's been out this entire month so far. They said he made the trip and he skated on Thursday. So there's a chance. My guess is that they're going to get him healthy and hope that he's ready to go for the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe plays the last 3 or 4 games, at least sees 8 to 10 minutes of time on the ice just to get him ready to go for the playoffs. But right now, I mean, wow. I mean, St. Louis, like you said, mind you, when they made that run a couple years back, they have just been absolutely on fire, and they have been a perfect example of a team who's taking advantage of the schedule. They have had an absolute garbage schedule with a couple semi-tough games or teams that they're probably equal with, but they've been pulling them out. So in this run, they've won 9 in a row, and they've won since the start of March. I'll look at this. So since the start of March, they've gone 12-3. And they've won 9 in a row, 12-3 just in the month of March. They beat Los Angeles, lost to Dallas 6-3, beat LA again 3-2, beat Anaheim 4-3, lost to LA 2-1. So they went 2-3 against LA on that West Coast swing. Nice. LA's a playoff team, so it's going 2-1 against them in 3 games is nice. Lost at Pittsburgh was tough, but then came back and beat Minnesota, a team they're battling with, beat Minnesota, beat Anaheim again, and then beat up on Nashville, Vancouver, Chicago, Nashville. Nice 6-1 win against Montreal, and then Nashville again, and then the big 2-1 win the other night against Colorado for their 9th in a row. And now they finish off the year with Detroit, Pittsburgh, Colorado, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Seattle, Utah. Colorado, Winnipeg at that point, and Edmonton are probably all going to be close to locked in by the time that they play them at the end of the year, and then they finish up with Seattle and Utah. As we said, Detroit's falling apart. Pittsburgh's out of it, but they've been sticky. I don't see how there's any way this St. Louis team doesn't make the playoffs. And again, depending on who you are, the goaltending has been phenomenal of late.
Yes.
And so, like, that always scares you going into playoffs with a hot goaltender.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and all those scores you just went through, I mean, how many of those were just 1-goal games that they were letting up?
Yep.
And yeah, okay, so you can say that some of these teams are below 500 or they're non-playoff teams, but 6-1 against Montreal that we just got done talking about how they seem to match the level of the opponent, but they drummed them 6-1. You beat was it? I think it was in Colorado. Beat. I mean,
it was a nice win. That was the big one. Everybody thought that was going to snap the streak, and when they pulled that one off, you're like, I think this team's in the playoffs now. They're winning that game. And again, the teams that were right there with them, Vancouver, Calgary, a couple teams that were kind of in the mix, they put all those teams away. The fact that they went 2-1 against LA was really nice. They go 0-3 against LA. It's huge on that West Coast swing. But the fact that they won 2 out of 3, huge. So, I mean, this team, making a run at the right time. And like you said, the Islanders, Brandon jumping in here. Brandon, thanks for joining us. He says, the Islanders, is that a Jamaican bobsled team? They could be. They could be the Jamaican Islanders.
They'd be better at it than they are at hockey. That's for sure. Oh.
Yeah, get those guys at bobsled. Get them start training for the Olympics already. They're definitely, like you said, I don't think they're making the playoffs at all. That team was falling apart at the last second. But yeah, like I think we're getting that. We got about week and a half or so here in the season. Like I said, 7-8 games, about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and it's getting pretty close where we feel like we know where a lot of these teams are. Washington's already clinched; they're going to be the top seed. That's pretty much guaranteed. Toronto is trying to hold off Tampa Bay and Florida for the Atlantic. Ottawa, I think, is in as that wild card. Like I said, it's just that battle between Columbus, the Rangers, Montreal. Like I said, I ran through that schedule for Detroit. I just don't see it. I don't see how they win enough games to make it. Winnipeg's already in. Dallas is in. Vegas, right now, you think they're going to win the Pacific. It's looking pretty nice. Me and Toast talked last week about how they're one of our favorite bets to win the Stanley Cup with their odds right now. You can get really nice odds on them. Edmonton hasn't been great, but they've done enough to stay in it. So, their team is going to be a sneaky in the playoffs. If the offense can get going, they just got to have some kind of goalie, anybody show up to give them a shot. But Minnesota, St. Louis, they just seem too hot for me. They seem too good, and I just don't trust Vancouver at all. And like I said, Calgary I thought was a nice story this year. Utah was in the mix for their first year. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they were right there. So I think that was nice. It was a little, as opposed to being, never in it in Phoenix and just feeling like a wasted year all the time. I feel like there's upside there. So at least I think they can feel good about what they did this year, even if they don't make the playoffs. If they would have officially came out and said they were the Yeti, I would have guaranteed a playoff berth, but it did not happen. So that anybody else you want to talk about, kind of like guys are hot, teams are hot, teams are not, that as you kind of look at it now that you're keeping your eye on, either just who you like in general, teams you're looking at to keep an eye on betting down the stretch, depending on what they do. Because again, we're not big Blues guys, obviously, being Blackhawks fans, Red Wings. It's been hard to bet on the Blues, but man, they have been on fire. If you jumped on this winning streak stretch, you've been crushing it.
Yeah. In terms of what to keep an eye on, joking aside, keep the Blues have just figured it out. And I'll 3 quick notes on that. Number one, Bennington's been lights out since the Four Nations, when he was the hero of Canada, and he won everything for everybody in that whole country. He was great. He was the biggest probably weapon I will say that the U.S. had, that they could just rattle him and get under his skin. Nope, didn't happen. They won it. He comes back and he's played at that level since then. The second,
he's been great, but Hofer has also been great.
Yeah, and
if you look at him going down his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, his last 6 games, he has given up less than 6 goals. He's only given up 2 goals twice, 1 goal one time each, and 0 goals another time. He has been really solid. So if they get Bennington and Over playing well in the playoffs, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do, who they think is hotter and who they go with. Because obviously it was Bennington coming out of the Four Nations tournament, but Hofer has really given them some nice games, even though he hasn't been the full-time guy. He's been a guy they've been able to turn to, and he's been pretty solid here down the stretch. And even if he doesn't play in the playoffs, him playing well down the stretch here has helped Bennington get a few more days off, get a little bit more rest, and they're still keeping the winning streak going.
Yeah. Like okay, so if I'm St. Louis and I'm I know Campbell is a smart coach and everything, but if you go to, let's say you pull a double overtime game, you pull out that victory, I mean, you can pencil in Hofer into that next game. That's how good he is. So he's gone from a really classic, in every sense of the word, backup goalie to arguably a tandem, like you said. Like I could probably, go one way or the other, or go with a hot hand. Incredible goaltending. They're not playing with their full, as we mentioned, Parenko's out, so their defense has been outstanding. Offensively, then, the leader of the points since Four Nations is Robert Thomas. He's just out there passing that, slinging it around, power play points. He's killing penalties. He's doing everything. This guy's really having a great year. And then the absolute steal of last year, when just Edmonton. Oh God, Edmonton. So they're 5-4-1 in the last 10. That's fine. They're going to make the playoffs. They're a playoff team. They deserve it. Can you imagine if they would have just re-signed Dylan Holloway? Holloway at 25 goals. He's been killing it in St. Louis.
He's been fantastic.
Oh my God, he's just been lighting it up. He is everything everybody thought he would be. I know 25 goals. Okay, he's, whatever. He's just a kid. But he's getting third line minutes. I think now he might be going back and forth up to the second line. But just what a dream. You have another system that developed this player in the Edmonton organization. Edmonton, as of late, has done great in developing talent in their farm system, bringing them up, guys like Bouchard, or giving them a second, giving a guy like Zach Hyman a second chance. They've got a pretty good system now, but I know Bowman was in the job like 2 days, but that should have been a no-brainer. $2.5 million to sign the guy. He had the cap room. What's his name? Vander Kane still hasn't come back. You had the money. Why didn't you sign? And everybody was giving him crap about the Broberg, losing Broberg, which again, you could argue that, but Broberg he's been solid. He just hasn't been the standout player Holloway's been. So guys like Dylan Holloway, Jake Neighbors, I mean, you just have these character guys, these bangers, as we overuse the term bangers, but that's what they are. That's what the Blues are. And my God, would I hate to see that team in the first round, especially coming off this heater, knowing in recent history what they did in 2019. Look out. But no, I think it's locked down. I think you look at that team. I think after you went through game by game what Detroit has left going into the playoffs, I'm gonna probably go anti-Detroit on every single one of those games. Get a couple of bucks in my account to waste it on the playoffs.
I'm one of those guys. I usually avoid betting against my team and just not taking them if I don't like them. But man, it's like
never fun. Never fun.
But it's like, oh man, I just does not look good down the stretch here for them. And here's the thing: here's a bet I'm going to be looking for, depending on who the Blues get in the playoffs. If you can bet one of those bets where you get like how many games is the series going to go? Is it going to go 6 games? Is it going to go 7 games? I think the Blues are going to push somebody. I don't know if they win a first round series.
Yeah.
But damn, they're going to freaking make somebody earn it. Yeah. And I'm going to look at some of those odds. I could see a nice little bet on a 4-2 where you got to go 6 games and somebody's got to grind it out and win it in 6. Something like that, 6 or 7. So that's something I'm definitely going to keep my eye on down in the future here when we get these playoffs matchups set, because they're a team I think is going to grind somebody hard in that first round.
I like that. I like that a lot. Absolutely.
All right, let's jump into some fantasy talk.
Hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
So this is our fantasy hockey segment. It is the championship round for most of those. Some people's leagues, if your league was a 2-week league, you might be over or finishing up your second week this week. Depending on what you're on, we've got our home league, what we'll talk about in just a minute. Aaron, congratulations in the championship round. Love it. But let's talk about a few fantasy hockey players. A little news. Justin Leonard sign entry level deal might be coming up with the Caps soon, and you got a couple players that you're feeling like might be hot for the playoffs here for this championship round. Give me some of your thoughts as we come into the final run of fantasy hockey for the season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you started off with the Justin Taylor. Boston College got eliminated. They're not in the Final Four, surprisingly. But like you said, JT, at the top of the hour, that the NHL is unique that you can play college season, collegiate season, and you can play a pro season in the same season. So it's a guy, if you're in a redraft, he may be, or he may have to have NHL eligibility. In other words, played an NHL game to show up in your free agency. So mark this guy or put him on your watch list. But Justin Leonard, who has had an incredibly, he went back, he could have gone pro last year. I think he made the right decision, went back to Boston College, played well there. He was the leader of the team. He looked tremendous again in the World Junior Championship. He led that team to a gold medal. You have a pretty high ceiling on this kid. Now, is he going to hit? You also have a pretty low floor. I mean, he might be getting 10 minutes a game, but you're talking about the number one team, adding a depth guy. So he's going to be a third or fourth round line guy. He's going to play with Ovi, but he'll be out there flying around, and he could be up, or actually he's making a trip to Boston with the team. I'm not saying he's going to play tomorrow, but there's a reason why he got the contract today, which today being Monday the 31st. So I mean, he's coming off a high level of hockey. He just got out of the tournament.
He's ready to go because the guy's been playing all season, so it's not like he's been sitting. And then you got to think, already clinching, the Caps have already clinched. They're number one seed. So there's a chance they're going to want to get a few of these older guys. They're not a young team. The Caps are not a young team. There's a few older guys that might say, hey, give me a few extra days off. Give me a few extra shifts off. Maybe we get this kid in there. Yeah. And if you're in a keepers league, maybe you snatch this guy up depending on where you can keep him in your keepers league. I know in a lot of our leagues, if you pick up a guy off of free agency, we have a set round somewhere between like 13, 15, 20, where you can keep that guy in that round. If you're in that type of league, might want to be making a move here if you can. Grab him just in case. You know what? It looks like he's not going to be a high-end guy next year, depending on what the roster looks like. Maybe he's a third liner, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to keep him, But if he plays well in the playoffs and things look good next year, then maybe you got yourself a steal. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's pretty highly touted. Up to this point, he's proven it at every level he's played. So, I won't call him a can't miss. You just never know when they get to the NHL. But yeah, definitely somebody that these guys tend to it's no different than a free agent that has out there, or maybe has a little bit of mileage, but sees a new team at the deadline, whatever. But yeah, definitely somebody not to sleep on. Other three guys here real quick are already established NHLers in terms of who to pick up, especially if this happens to be crunch week, your last week of your season or second to last, whatever your format is. Taylor Hall has been tremendous since going to Carolina. He's really fit in well. So as much as Rantanen didn't fit in for whatever reason, I mean, there's a million stories out there now saying that he never intended on staying. He said, no, I did intend on staying. Who cares? Whatever. He's in Dallas. That ship has sailed. Just didn't work with the system. But to the opposite side of that polar opposite, there's always a large spectrum here. On the complete other side of that spectrum is Taylor Hall, who's fit right into the system like he was there from day one. 12 points in his last 11 games. He is in the top 10 of forwards for speed bursts over 20 miles an hour. That's my favorite stat. That's what brought myself and Marty Natchez together, is like, who are these guys that are getting these bursts in traffic? Well, it's Taylor Hall, and the guy's been playing forever, but he's right up there with those bursts. So definitely, if he's available now, he's taken in mostly, according to Fantrax as of today, he's on 42% of rosters. So there's still some of you out there that may have availability. If you do, I know the guy I played to get to the championship, he snagged him, and it about cost me a game. So about cost me going to the championship game. So I can say that I've been sweating and watching Taylor Hall very closely the last 2 weeks. Definitely a guy you want to get on your roster. Next guy down the list is going to be a Buffalo Sabres. Sabres are terrible. They either beat you by 10 goals or they lose by 10 goals. There's no in between for these.
The most inconsistent team right now. It's crazy.
Oh my God. It's like you're watching like a kid's game or something. Like, what you just never know which team you're going to get. They'll I've been watching a lot of their games too. But the one guy on that one that had a really, I wouldn't say underwhelming, maybe you could say underwhelming. I guess he was a highly touted prospect, Jack Quinn. He had played a few games last year, came into this year with signs of progression. It's questionable whether he met those goals or not. But since Dylan Cousins went over to Ottawa, and has fit in very well at Ottawa, I might add, Jack Quinn has gotten more ice time. He's kind of filled that role, and he's on a bit of a point streak as well. He's got 8 points in his last 4 games, but he's seeing more ice time. So I go back here we go with another Natchez plug, but I'm gonna liken it to that. When Natchez got his extended minutes in Carolina, we saw who that player was. It could be the same for Jack Quinn. Okay, now this guy's getting some minutes. Maybe this is what he needed all along. He's now ready. You can never tell. Nobody's got a crystal ball. Say when these guys develop, but seems to be hitting a stride a little bit more now that he's got the time he's out on the ice. Last guy is an old guy. He's old as sin, but Alex Iafallo. You had mentioned Winnipeg. Hey, I kind of like this team. I like them for a deep run. Velarde is out right now. Velarde was a top line winger. Alex Iafallo, who's available in most leagues. He's only taken in about 14% of the leagues right now. He has taken over that first line role and power play. So he's on there. He's getting ice time with Kyle Connor, who's had an amazing year. Mark Scheifele, who's had a a rebirth. He's been lights out great. He's playing with guys like that. So Alex Iafallo, if you're looking for that pickup, maybe have an injury, maybe have McDavid like me, that we don't know when he's coming back. He should be back before the end of the year. We don't know. We'll see. Matthew Tkachuk, who I don't think he'll be back. I think they keep him sidelined until the playoffs. To be honest, it doesn't sound like he's progressing like they thought. Maybe we'll see him the game before, but you're on one of those teams that one of your big names is out. Alex Iafallo is a good plug. Plug him in. He's getting plenty of ice time. He hasn't put up the points or anything yet, but he'll have the opportunity to do that. So really those four guys, if you're looking at your championship week, take a look at those guys.
You wanted to shoot a little shout out. We usually do a Bangers League segment. We're going to talk about it in this one since we're talking about it in our home leagues of Bangers League. Let's talk about Kiefer Sherwood for Vancouver, the forward, setting an NHL record. Let me know about him.
We have to do something special for this guy, especially us being a Bangers League as we are. This guy, every hit that he makes right now in real time, he plays for Vancouver. Vancouver's not going to make the playoffs. They suck. We already talked about them. But this guy goes out and he gets 10 hits a game. He's sitting at the record 424 with all games in hand. Vancouver doesn't play tonight. I think they play tomorrow, but 424. Every one that he adds on is adding to the record. If we took all of his goals, all of his assists, and all of his shots on goal away, he is still in our Bangers League producing a 3.02 points per game stat line.
Dude, that's wild. That's wild.
Right now he's sitting in fourth best player in our league. 17 goals, 18 assists.
Yep. I just looked him up currently, depending on where they counted the stats tonight or last night. He currently is 6th overall.
Okay.
In our league in scoring, he's 4 points behind Tom Wilson, 14 points behind Nikita Kucherov. He's only 30 points behind Nathan McKinnon, 35 points behind Brady Tkachuk, and 37 points behind Leon Draisaitl. He's 37 points out of being the number one scoring player in our league. He was drafted in 2% of Fantrax leagues. 2% to start the year.
It's unbelievable.
ADP of 1,230. He's only currently rostered in 48% of leagues, and he's the number 6 scorer overall in our league right now. Like you said, hits wise, 424. Number 2 is Will. I always mess his name. Is it Kyle
Cooley?
Cooley. I always mess him up. Will Cooley, 278, and Luke Shin, who I actually picked up during the playoffs to end up earning the number 1 pick because I barely missed the playoffs on the last name. I picked up Luke Shin off the waiver wire on Winnipeg. He has 277 hits. He's number 3 in hits this year. So that he has, it's just wild. He has over 140 more hits than the next closest guy who has 278 on the year.
That blows me away. So for a Bangers,
it's wild.
It's this is
dude, we're gonna have to name a trophy after him or something.
That's exactly what
an award. It's just absolutely insane.
We have to do something in the off season, and maybe we can put it to a vote for the listeners or whatever, but we have to do something to memorialize this incredible season because he's just setting the Banger leagues on fire. You take all that stuff away and my kind of bar, my minimal bar set for a player on an active roster, not including minor eligibility, is that 3 points per game. That's a base. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that's what you want. And he's averaging 5.47 per game in our league.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that's McKinnon numbers. That's McDavid numbers. That's Leo numbers. Yeah, he's and then the last thing I'll say about this
Deets,
guy.
freaking meat sweats.
I know.
He
Well, I'm
always
playing
gets
him now. I'm
he
playing
always
him.
gets one of these guys. He
I
always
know
gets
it.
one of these guys. It never fails. Because we were going to talk about it because you made a nice run. You barely made the playoffs in front of me. It went down to the very last Sunday. We had 3 teams all tied with the same record and all
Yeah.
within 5 points of each other. I just barely missed out. I tried everything to pick up everybody I could. I ran out of money in Fab. I was at the Detroit Blue Jackets game. I woke up Sunday morning. I had a text from Toast. It's like, dude, you better pick up some players if you're going to make the playoffs. And I was like, what? I get in there, look, and I'm East Coast time. So I'm like, I look at it. I'm like, oh, do I have 15 minutes? I had 0 time to strategize who I'm going to pick up. I'm just like, dude, they're putting guys in for Fab. I didn't know how much Fab money I had. I'm like trying to pick guys up because we were like neck and neck. It was like all of us had we were in like 3 points of each other. And I was like, I got to try to get a couple extra plays today. Put that guys in. I got a couple extra plays, but my guys just didn't go. Nobody on my team went off. I think you guys outscored me by like 15 and 12 points or something. It was something super close. Missed the playoffs. I did end up, some of those guys helped me. Like I said, I picked up shit and he helped me. I did end up winning the number 1 pick. So I'll take that. If I'm going to miss the playoffs, at least I won the toilet pole to get the number 1 pick. So I'll take that. But you had a nice run here. Let's talk a little bit about this. That's how close it was. Me and you were right on the mix of making the playoffs.
Yep.
I miss, you make it. You're in the championship game. I win the toilet bowl. If I would have been in the semifinals, I would have won the semifinals. That's how many points I scored in the toilet bowl championship game. So that's how close this league is. And it seems like this is every year that we just had this league is super, super close. Toast had the number 1 team all season, and he just succumbed to injuries. His team fell apart. He had a terrible scoring the first round of the playoffs, but he had the bye. His team couldn't get together in the next round. So he's in the 3rd, 4th place game. But you and Meat Sweats, and I'm pretty sure it was you, and I'm going to have to go back and look at this. I'm pretty sure it was you, Meat Sweats, and me that were fighting for the last 3 playoff spots. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was. It came down to the wire. And if you look at the team, so you look at my team and Meat Sweats, at Dietz's team, really the difference has been the guys that you didn't expect to have career years have had career years. Like I didn't know who Matthew Olivier was. I never heard of the guy. And he's out there knocking people out in Columbus, or Kiefer Sherwood, who we may even name the league after, that Dietz has. So a lot of it is that type of player, these bangers that kind of kept it on. So where Toast was very top heavy on talent, and some of that talent, Jack Hughes namely, went down. It was just too much. The burden was too much. You're not going to find a replacement for that. So, I hate saying it, but a lot of it is when you're that close, and that's why I like this league so much. The parity, there's parity. Anybody can beat anybody on any given week, and then it's more about who's up next, like who replaced him. Maybe we've told listeners before, we play in a dynasty league, so you kind of you have to know that maybe a guy has minor league eligibility, but you can bring him up and down the roster, those types of things. But you really got to look at those bangers, those 3rd and 4th line guys that maybe consider they're not going to jump off the page at anybody, but they're going to get you that 3
they're
points.
Going to get you consistently. Yeah, they're going to get you because I mean, if you look at our scoring, I'm wrong on that. You were in the playoffs. You were the Thursdays. So you were definitely in the playoffs. It was me, Long Live the Note, 5-hole Tickler. We were the ones fighting for those last couple spots. So you were clearly in with the 3 seed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you were number 2 in the league in points at the end. You end up coming up and getting points. I was right in the mix in points. I actually ended up being the number 2 points against, and that or number 3 points against. So that one got me in the end, as I was right around. I was fighting 500 the whole year, Ended up losing to Toast the final week and finished 9-10, and I just missed the playoffs. I think it was 11 points. I missed the playoffs by. So it's just that close. It's one guy. I missed a guy here. Oh, that guy ended up playing and I didn't see him, so I didn't get him in the lineup. I mean, so you played a lot of weeks. We played 19 weeks and I missed the playoffs by 11 points. I mean, that's how close it can be sometimes. And like I said, in our league, you never know. The top 2 seeds got knocked off in the playoffs. So we got you, Slewfoot at 3 and Meat Sweats at 4. You guys are both in 12-7 in the regular season. And you guys were the second and 4th highest scoring team in the league. And now you guys are in the championship.
Yeah. A lot, like I said before, I mean, you look up and down at those rosters. There's a lot that are towards the top of our rosters. A guy like Protus that Meat Sweats has. Never even heard of him before this year, and he's been lights out in Washington. He's looked amazing. He's not even skating with Ovi. He's doing it all on his own. So, I mean, you name it, you can probably, there's a bunch of guys that fit that mold that are having career years. So some of it is chalked up to that. And then again, we've already kind of talked about it, the injury bug. Those get bit a little bit harder than some other teams, or again, the points against, you hit that meat grinder that last place guy is just going off on you. That's why I do like the format. Those of you that don't have the 2-week format in the playoffs, I would recommend you go to that. It kind of evens out those ebbs and flows. The better, or a higher scoring or more consistent team should win after a 2-week period. All things being equal. And then even with that 2-week period, or I'm sorry, that 2-week game, it was closer than what it thought. Like going into Sunday, going into the semifinal game that I was in against Martini, he started off on fire. Every single player on his team had a goal. I'm like, oh my God, I had a 20 or 30 point lead. It evaporated. We were back
real quick. It went down. It went down the wire there. That's for sure.
Oh gosh, you just never know. But that's what makes a good league good. We've said it before. We said at the beginning of the year. We say it in the middle of the year. We're going to now say it as the year comes to a close in the fantasy. Is you get guys that want to play, that do it. It's not, I mean, we don't play for a huge amount of money, but it's enough to make you, turn in a lineup, or like you said, 11 points. Yeah, that could have been a goalie matchup that, oh God, Hellebuck plays the.
Yeah, I didn't play one guy, and I had a guy who I thought was going to play, and he didn't play, and then I didn't play the other guy, and that's 3 or 4 or 5 points, and that happens twice in a year. I mean, it's that close. It comes down to the end of the season. You're like, oh my goodness, you're like, I was right there, and those are the ones that are frustrating. And then you start questioning yourself, like, what game did I miss? I know. To get a guy in.
Yeah, then you're looking at other resources. You're looking, and then you're just you're overwhelmed by all the stats, and then you still make the wrong choice. So yeah, it's what adds an element to it. I mean, it was So we'll see. Again, 2 weeks ago, we'll see what happens. But as always, a fun season. And then to your back to what you had said, you won the toilet bowl. I mean, this next draft, it's the number 1 overall picks kind of shifting around depending on what your source is. Whether it's Dauber or NH or the TSN, the Canadian equivalent to ESPN, or whomever it is that you're looking at for your source there, but very heavy on those top 4 guys. So depending on your need, like I need a scoring defenseman, there is a scoring defenseman that'll be right there. Or, you know what, I'm just going to take the overall best guy, Michael Misa, James Hudgens, whatever. You're definitely going to have a decision to make, even with that 1-1 pick. But
and this is something we're going to bring up in a future episode. We're going to talk about odds, who we're betting on to be the 1-1, and then fantasy, who do we think I should take at the 1-1, or who are we looking at depending on your needs on your team. So that's definitely something that's coming up in the future here. Aaron, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for joining me. We missed Toast, but hopefully we'll have him back next week. If you're in your fantasy championships, I hope you win. Hope you win, guys. Aaron, good luck to you. Take out the Meat Sweats. You got to take him down.
We'll see.
Get that win. I'm just happy I got the one, and I'm done. I'm like, season's over for me. I got the number 1 pick. I'm pumped about it. I feel good about my team. I missed the playoffs, but I was right in the mix all year, and I feel like I got a nice young team for the future. So feeling good about what we have going on there. Thanks to everybody who joined us tonight. Like us, subscribe us, Fantasy and Frames, Around the Eyes. Check out all the Fantasy and Frame stuff. Full lineup of stuff this week. The women's drafts going on for fantasy football all week. Wednesday night, full list of stuff. So we got Redraft, Dynasty, IDP with Shoot the Gap. So jump in, follow all those shows. Like I said, hit the notification button so you know when we are coming on. That's going to do it for us, Aaron. Appreciate it, man. Thanks very much.
All right.
We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.